Now, global warming is a very interesting phenomenon. It's like talking about democracy. It's important, you got to do it, but nobody really knows what you need to do in order to put democracy in the Middle East. Same thing with global warming. It's important, it's dangerous, everybody talks about it, but what do you actually do in order to counter it? Most of the countries don't know. We know what to do. Because we had no choice. I mean, if we want to survive, we need to create new water, new agriculture, develop our medical system so that we can sustain life in a very harsh environment. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising what you see around you in the Middle East today. And Israel is considered a pariah state, an apartheid state, a state that is encountering genocide. People vote with their feet. 10,000, 15,000 average a year, try to sneak across the Egyptian border to find jobs in Israel, food. And you know what? It's not far away that a scenario will include also Egyptians trying to get into Israel to find food. If the Egyptian economy comes to a halt, and not a screeching halt, but standstill, complete deterioration. And what if the army doesn't get paid? Will the army assume responsibility and take control? No, we don't know. We've seen what happened to armies that don't receive salaries and don't know what to do, like the Iraqi army. They go and lease themselves to those who pay them. And that's a very dangerous thing. You talk about an army of 500,000 people, it's a big question mark. Will it be loyal to whom? Be loyal to someone who pays them. But if the Egyptian leadership, whoever is in leader, can't pay them their salaries after 2 months, well, how are they going to earn money? They'll smuggle terrorists to Gaza and to Sinai. They'll do deals with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. That's where the money is. These are nightmare scenarios. I want to tell you, before I became a spokesman, I was in the planning branch in the IDF. My job to think of the worst possible scenario. So after I wrote them, I couldn't sleep at night, you know. And you have to understand, but that's the reality in the Middle East.
So is there an optimistic scenario?
What?
Give us the optimistic
That's well, the optimistic scenario, you know, I'll tell you, when I was in planning branch, we had this ongoing, assessment. You know, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Of course there is. It's the locomotive that is coming to you at 300 miles an hour, or the roof that caved in. In other words, that's a scenario. But I'm saying there is a solution. And I say, now I come to the Israeli icon, which is not being developed. It's what does Israel has to offer. First of all, as a result of this, you see that we are in the eye of the storm. The safest, most stable place in the world is Israel. How do I know it? We have all the time to deal. Who is going to be the chief of staff? Change the chief of staff. We play musical chairs. The rest of the world can wait. Wait a minute. We got our little battle of the generals. That's more important than the battle over hunger in Egypt or the battle over Medicare in the Middle East. No, wait. We got to fight our own war. So we're very strong, otherwise we wouldn't be engaging in that. Wait, we finish that war, we'll see what happens around us. Second, as I said, people vote with their feet, 10,000, 15,000, and it's going to increase. This migrant wave of workers seeking jobs because they are hungry will continue in the Middle East. I'll tell you a story, a true story about this event. This is also an example of how you do, effective public policy. First you make a statement, then you tell a personal story. And here's the personal story. Mustafa Khalil was the prime minister of Sadat. Very wise man. Then he signed the peace treaty with Egypt. 2 years after signing the peace treaty, Israelis were complaining. Oh, we're always bitching and complaining. What is this? We gave them the whole Sinai, we get cold peace. We have warm peace. Why? We send Egypt every year 800,000 to 1 million tourists. Where are the Egyptian tourists that will come and flood our marketplace and come to our shores and spend their money in Israel? Mustafa Khalil said, what do you want? You want warm peace? Fine, I haven't got 1 million Egyptian tourists. Oh, but I can send you 1 million hungry Egyptian workers. Give them work. Fine, you'll have warm peace. You want warm peace or cold peace? What do you want? See, we don't realize what is the other side? What are the icons that drive other people? They are driven by hunger. The poverty level in Israel is 3,000 shekel or 3,500 shekel a month, which is average about $1,000 a month. A family cannot sustain itself. You know what's the average income per capita in Egypt? $600 a year. high-ranking officers in the army, which is the bulwark supporter of the Egyptian regime, $500 a month. That's brigadier general. I mean, you know, we don't realize this is light years away, what we're talking about. There, the problem is how to live every day. And definitely, yes, there is a democratic of rising expectation of, let's say, 20% of the population. Those university students who go to university, and 9 out of 10 of them cannot find a job. And their dream is to become a garçon in the Hyatt or Hilton Hotel. That's it. Go like this. You can get more money. But that's Egypt. That's the real Egypt. And therefore, you know, when you say, what is it for Israel? First of all, Israel is in the best possible situation to show that our way is the right way. We are not the problem of the Middle East. We're the solution of the Middle East. And this is perhaps a good time to remind them what happened in January 2010. Because of who we are, because we have limited resources, and because we cherish life in a dying region, we were the first one to be on the ground in Haiti with the doctors and medical crews of Shaare Zedek and provide medical assistance. We didn't ask questions. We didn't know where the budget will come from, but we were there first. We were in Haiti first. We're in 100 different Western African countries and Asian countries, some of which don't have diplomatic relations. And our aids come, they don't come with a Galil rifle, they don't come with weapons, they come with short sleeve shirts and a sack of seeds in their pocket. And they say, here, you say, take this and plant it in your arid land, and it will grow tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. Not red, but maybe look like chocolate. Well, a little salty, that's because, you know, you plant them as salted. But they'll grow, they'll give you double the crops you had before. That's the low-tech, Israeli low-tech, which brings life to a dying region. And we can do it in Egypt, we do it in the Sudan, and that's what Israel can offer. And yet, you know, when you look around, you say, oh, first of all, there's going to be a democratic revolution, and then they're going to come against the regime. The problem with democracy in the Middle East in general, as they say in Arabic, it has to be shwayye, shwayye, slowly, slowly. There's no democratic culture. You bring a democratic process without the culture, without the necessary institutional support and public support for democracy. At the end of the day, you go to the ballots and you end with bullets. And who controls the ballots and who wins the election? In a gradual process, not immediately. The radicals. That's what happened in Iran in 1979. That's what may happen in Egypt if control is lost and the whole process is not regulated and not adjusted. And that's what happened in Lebanon. Hostile takeover using the Trojan horse model. That's the Iranian formula. Every time you see Iranian attempt to take over, this is the hostile takeover in gradual steps. You don't assume who wants to be the ruler region. The Muslim Brotherhood would be stupid to try to take over the government. They'll be very smart to work behind the scene and have some sort of a puppet government run by Muhammad Baradei and where they could pull the strings. And then at the right moment, the soldier would spew out of the belly of the Trojan horse and take over the country. But that's in the later stage, not now, when things get really worse. Meanwhile, let them grapple with the problem. So, I mean, it's almost an impossible predicament that, you know, but herein comes the basic element is what would be the United States policy. The United States can play a very important constructive role or destructive role. Destructive role out of innocence sometimes or out of ignorance. I was asked by a guy in Al Jazeera, which I do a lot of speaking to them. He asked me, again, here's a personal story to make a point, okay? He asked me, you know, after Obama's speech in Cairo, I made a few comments. I said, well, it's a good thing that he extends a hand to the other side, but, you know, that's one hand that he extends. The other hand must still keep holding the stick, like Theodore Roosevelt said. So after the program, he said, Jassam called me, Dr. Gisin, tell me, what do you think about this President Obama? I said, listen, what do I think? Look at the American people. The whole euphoria. He's a cool president. And he switched into Arabic. Anyone who understands, I will translate. Shoo cool, kullu kalam fadi. In other words, what do you mean cool? He's all talk. Now, this was a telling statement, an icon of how Arabs believe. In one sentence, shoo cool, kullu kalam fadi, which means that's nice. He talks nicely, but he doesn't do anything. In other words, they judge you by what you do. They hated Bush's guts, I know, because I was there. They hated, but they respected every word. He said they took him seriously. They didn't like Sharon or even hated him, but they took him seriously. The worst thing that could happen to an American president who runs policy in the middle, who has a whole host of, I would say, countries which are supporting the United States, sort of the sheriff that had a posse, is that the posse doesn't follow him because they say, we don't take him seriously. It's not what the enemies think about you. It's if your potential allies say to you, well, we can't take you seriously. That's the real issue. And it's not limited just to Obama. It's limited to many American presidents. America always had this debate, this tension between the moralist value, the Jeffersonian value. Let's teach the world democracy. Let's bring the light from the Statue of Liberty to all the world. And at the same time, the Hamilton approach said, no, but we have to protect American interests. There will always be a tension, always be a dilemma. But the dilemma was simply based on what Theodore Roosevelt said in very metaphorical icon. Talk softly, walk softly, but make sure you carry a big stick. The United States talks softly, walks softly, but kullu kalam fadi, no stick. No stick. You don't have to use the stick, but it has to be shown. And that's the thing. That's a dilemma with Egypt. Fine, you support democratic regime, democratic reform, you do it, but you also have to support those elements which will ensure stability. Bush asked Sharon, what did I do wrong in Iraq? He said, you put democracy before stability. You dismantled the Iraqi army, and now you have to really build a new army. That, of course, is very difficult. It's not what it seems. It's not what it seems. And I go back at the end of my presentation, you can ask questions to what Galit said. The hieroglyphics of Egypt are much more understandable today to those who study them than the new icons that we see in the Middle East. They're different. It's a different language. We must try to decipher them. We must try to understand them. Otherwise, suddenly we're going to stand in front of us and be astonished. How come the Iranians are in Cairo, the Iranians are in Gaza, and in Lebanon? Thank you.